And now it's time to take you on a quick journey through the newspapers this morning, share with you the major stories making headlines across Nigeria. This morning, as always, we have our political analyst, Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, joining us to review these papers. Good morning. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, Asari again.
I hear it was your birthday yesterday, I believe, or a few days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yesterday, yeah.
Happy birthday. All right. Let's kick off with the Punch newspapers this morning. Big one on your screen there says petrol price hike. Ipman tackles NNPC, threatens to stop operations. Marketers accuse NNPC Limited of inflating Dangote petrol price. Meman continues loading subsidized PMS. We can also find here Lebanese jailed 14 years for sexually exploiting 2 teenage girls. Why military hasn't gone after Asari Dokubo, says the defense headquarters. And also, Norgay threatened suit over governor's bill to control local government funds. Fubara heads the Supreme Court as appeal court affirms pro-Wike lawmakers. These are the big ones that we're taking this morning on the Punch newspapers.
All right, let's go to Daily Trust next. Let's see what else. Okay, let's do the, very quickly, let's see, Daily Independent. Let's handle that very quickly. It says, signs of anarchy everywhere in Nigeria. PDP Board of Trustees warns. So it's a warning. They're saying signs of anarchy everywhere in Nigeria. They asked Tinubu to review policies to check widespread hardship. Nigeria is sinking deeper under President Tinubu. COP laments. My husband, not cause of hardship, says Oluremi Tinubu. We also see other stories on page 7. Tinubu too much in a haste to exit fuel subsidy, according to TUC. There was an emergent press conference that was also put up by the TUC where they spoke and expressed their concern. Reps seek tax policy overall to ease burden on citizens. Reps seek tax policy, and we talked about policies earlier on at the first mention of the front page. Anyway, again, court rejects bid to stop Kano LG elections. Health workers threaten strike. Issue 15-day ultimatum to federal government. Federal government says, Senate says, I beg your pardon, LG elections conducted in violation of democratic tenets. And then police rescue kidnapped sports journalists in Anambra. And we do hear a sad story that one of us who's in the media, journalist, was actually killed in that encounter. Well, let's move to the next paper now, very quickly, before we bring in Nnaemeka to join us.
Yeah. All right, the Daily Trust newspapers, I think we can quickly throw in some stories from there. Ipman tackles NNPCL over new petrol price, says oil firm bought product for 899 but sells at over 1,000 naira per litre. It will come down, trading arm of National Oil Company says.
Why did you say why did you say that way, man?
Wow. Listen, Nigeria is frustrating me. Article knocks Tinubu. Amechi calls for protest. TUC 6 reversal of hike. Out of school children, threat to national security, says Shatima. Plateau local government poll turns violent as protesters burn motorcycles. And also Borno confirms the escape of 6 repentant insurgents. Interesting. Bandits appoint, depose village heads in my community, says Sokoto local government chair. Let's quickly just bring in Mr. Obiaraeri on, of course, the petrol price conversation. Ipman tackling the NNPC over the price that they've chosen to sell, of course, accusing them of buying it much lower. But of course, let's get your general view on the latest from the NNPC and their new price.
Okay. I think on Friday, I bought a liter of the PMS at the 11 PLC filling station at Awolowo Road, 1,500 per liter. I actually bought 52 liters for 78,000 naira. That was at the height of the announcement. Just immediately they made the announcement, they immediately adjusted their pump price. And the fact remains that based on the current pump price, subsidy is totally gone. Anybody telling you that he's paying for subsidy is not making sense. And again, Ipman is also not making sense in the real sense that Ipman cannot argue that NNPC bought from Dangote at 893 naira per liter and then hiked it. Ipman, NNPC cannot, and that is the truth. And IPMAN should also know that Dangote is a private refinery. Dangote's prices must fluctuate based on the commodity price fluctuations in the international market. Dangote is not like somebody that produces 1 million bags of rice and the prices are fixed. Dangote keeps refining, and every day, for those who check the commodity markets, average price of a gallon of the PMS, that's gasoline, is selling for about $2.16 now. If IPMAN members are also understand how the market works, all they should have done was just done their numbers. FOB at that price about 9.55 naira per liter. So there's no way. And an NNPC have actually eliminated themselves from the system. In that, they are simply telling us that subsidy is gone. NNPC said, we are no longer going to subsidize, we're no longer going to stay in the middle. Anybody can go to Dangote and buy. If IPMAN members feel that NNPC have moved the price, IPMAN members, they are big enough, they are powerful enough to go to NNPC. That's what they want to Dangote and say, we're not buying from NNPC, we want to buy from you. And Dangote will say to them. But Asari, that also comes back to the same issue. We have stakeholders in the oil and gas industry who have refused to say the truth and tell the truth and continue to live like ostriches, hiding their heads in the sand. I have always advocated, and I will, if time permits me to also suggest again, we can actually sell a liter of the PMS at a price of 500 to 600 naira per liter, no matter the price of the product in the international market, no matter the volatility, in every part of Nigeria.
How is that possible?
Simple. Yes, and let me explain how it's possible. Currently, we own public-owned refineries. Kaduna is out of it because Kaduna uses the Venezuelan crude stock, and the pipeline that leads to Kaduna had been compromised. So we are left with Warri and Port Harcourt. Warri, 125,000 barrels a day refining capacity. Port Harcourt, the two trains, 210,000 barrels a day. We can easily collocate new refinery there using the facilities at 50% the original cost, 160,000 barrels. That brings it to about 495,000 barrels. Also, again, we between 2019 now, we spent over 4 trillion naira in rehabilitating Port Harcourt. They've kept on rolling down the opening time of refinery, refinery from March, May 2023 till now. It's not yet open. What IPMAN members should be asking, and the sector have been advocating, those refineries cannot work under NNPC control, under public sector control. We should bring those refineries and put them in a bucket. When we put them in a bucket, we will value them. Federal government should quickly sell down. It's something that can be done in 3 months. There's only long lead time. Sell 80% to deep, 30% of the 80% to deep-pocketed, capable refinery managers. And then 50% to Nigerians. I will buy a chunk of it. I will buy a portion of it. List it on the floor of Nigeria Stock Exchange. There's a crude portion that is allocated to those refineries, 445,000 barrels a day. We can even allocate marginal fuels to them. Federal government providing guarantee to produce a barrel of the crude oil in Nigeria. Highest is $31 because of insecurity. We say they should come up with a special purpose vehicle. Under such a special arrangement, what we do, cost plus margin. Cost of refining, let's use the maximum point, $35, $31. Cost of refining a barrel of crude oil amortized over a period of time is $10. Add it, $41. 30% margin to those who have invested their money, which is very tight. There's no refinery that makes 30% anywhere in the whole world. That brings you to 53.3 cents. Even at the current exchange rate, we will be producing these products at a price plus margin that is not more than 430 naira per liter. By the time you add the other costs plus margins from the depot owners, storage, and margin to the truckers and haulagers, to the filling station managers, and we will sell this product under this special purpose arrangement at a price of 500 to 600 naira per liter anywhere in Nigeria. And this is out of our off-OPEC quota. We can also produce crude and sell this crude, meet our OPEC quota, while we're using this portion that is not OPEC quota to meet our special need. To ensure that this product is not kited out of Nigeria, we will set up what we call the Petroleum Bulk Trading Company, just like we have in the power sector, MBET. Who are the members of this Petroleum Bulk Trading Company? Members of IPMAN, members of MOMAN, members of DAPMAN, Nigeria Bar Station, and other civil society organizations. They will sit on the board. We know where the filling stations are. IPMAN members know. So everything that is produced here, based on this special arrangement, we will refine everything we consume here. The excess we will sell to our neighbors. and we will still sell enough crude oil to meet our working capital obligation from that end without any alternate cost of use of the petroleum product. What is so difficult about what I've explained here?
Yeah, but just to button,
Maman, that man, and all the rest of them should be pushing.
yeah.
Anybody who is all they are all playing to the gallery.
Yeah, but just to clarify, we need to move to other stories. What was the cost of production that you mentioned just now? Was it $10?
$10 per barrel. I'm not talking over time.
Yeah, so I mean, your estimate is $10 per barrel. But if you remember a couple of years ago, James Faleke, I think he I'm not sure if it was in the House of National Assembly that he made that statement, complained that Nigeria has the highest cost of production for crude oil. It's $48 per barrel. It's not $10 in Nigeria. It's either it is an inflated price, or there are certain factors that make it higher in Nigeria at $48, not $10. It's $10 in other oil-producing countries.
No, Asari, you're getting it wrong. I said the cost of production is $31. I'm talking about cost of refining. Cost of production.
Yes.
Cost of production. I said $31. Cost of production. Cost of producing a pile of the crude. There's a difference between cost of production and cost of refining. Cost of production, I said $31. Cost of refining, $10. If you put $10 on top of the 31, it's $41. And then 30% margin. Okay. And the cost of production in Nigeria is high, not because we don't have technology. It's because of the insecurity, the inefficiencies, the convoluted arrangement that we have in Nigeria.
Oh, well. I mean, the Tinubu administration has, its work set for it. I don't know that we would achieve this 600 that you've spoken of. I don't even think any economist, is expecting it. There's too many factors, like you've mentioned, that would make it almost impossible. I also don't think the government itself is interested in even reducing it. Yeah. With the free hand with which the NNPC changes prices every few market days.
Anyway, also looking at the fact that, Ipman has said this is what they get it for, and this is what they're selling to Nigerians. It's another conversation. I was thinking that by now, there would have been a press release from the NNPCL stating clearly, clarifying things for Nigerians and making it understandable to the citizens that this is the reason why, and maybe ignore the statement made by Ipman or whoever. But then again, let's go to another story. I think we have 15 days. The countdown has already started yesterday when as soon as they made the announcement. It's got to do with health workers. They're threatening strike. And the reason why they're doing that, they're saying they give the government 15 days ultimatum to indeed accede or listen or pay attention to them, especially with the current economic crisis. What's your take on that?
Honestly speaking, it breaks my heart that Nigeria is one place where the key focus critical sectors, education and health, are grossly neglected. And it also breaks my heart. And that is why we have a lot of Jackpot syndrome in terms of medical practitioners, nurses. Once they have every opportunity, once a medical student leaves Nigerian medical school, the first thing that he sees or her mind is to leave because they are poorly remunerated. Their welfare is nothing to write home about. Just take out time to do a Google study or a Google search of how healthcare workers, how education practitioners are taken care of in other climes. In saner climes and in saner nations, over 40% are budgeted annually for health and the education sector intervention. In fact, the only state in Nigeria that actually made such provision was Abia State. Go and look at Abia State government. The Abia State governor was very, very robust enough about it. And it also speaks directly to the kind of human beings that we have running this country across the 3 tiers and arms of government. If I am the president and the governor of any state, I will prioritize 40% of whatever revenues that are going to be coming to my state and borrowings to take care of the health sector, to take care of the education sector. We spend practically annually over $2 to $3 billion on medical tourism. Nigeria is actually supposed to be the hub for medical tourism. Other people are supposed to be coming to Nigeria. Remember that in the early 60s, we used to have, in the early 60s and 70s, we used to have people coming from South Africa, from other parts of the world. We used to have people coming from other parts of the world to come and seek for education from Soka to Ibadan and other citadels of learning. Today, the reverse is the case. Nigerians are trooping to Togo, to Benin Republic, to acquire low quality education and all those stuff. So I think we need to prioritize education. We need to prioritize the health sector. The government should intervene and do the right things.
Yeah. All right. Quickly share your thoughts on what's going on in River State. I think it must have shown up in the news this morning. The drama, yes, it says Fubara heads the Supreme Court on the Punch as appeal court affirms pro-Wike lawmakers. You definitely have followed the story from the court ruling yesterday, affirming Martin Amaewhule. Asking that Sim Fubara represent the budget to Martin Amaewhule 2 months before the end of 2024.
To be honest with you, Asari, I try as much as possible to refrain from discussing the River State, what is happening in River State. I call it political banditry in River State. And to be honest with you, I feel that what is happening here is like two camps, enemy camps in Nigeria coming together at the value of takeover to destroy and decimate themselves. Because the truth is that the two gladiators, the major gladiators, the two parties, the fight is not for the interest of the river people. The fight has never been for the welfare of the river people. The fight has always been at who will have access to the port, to loot, to steal, and to share. And that is the truth. So whatever the Supreme Court will decide, whatever the appeal court decision, whatever, I am not interested in what is happening in River State. I have zero interest. I'm being honest with you. I have zero interest in discussing what's happening because what is happening in River State has nothing to do with the welfare of the people, have nothing to do, and it's a crying shame that in the 21st century, we're having such kind of macabre dance. You see people threatening left and right. In Senate climbs, 99% of the two parties and the two camps will be in jail.
That's anyway. Let's go to another story very quickly. Let's see one of the papers we did look at initially. I'd like us to go back to the Punch. The Punch. But before we take the Punch, before we take a phone call, we do have a phone call. Why military hasn't gone after Asari Dokubo, DHQ? I'm sure you did see another press conference that was held by the Nigerian military. We'll talk about that. But let's go straight to the phone lines first. We do have a caller. Hello, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, hello. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Calling from Abeokuta.
From Abeokuta. How's Abeokuta this morning, by the way?
Yes, you see, the idea of listening to Mr. Nnaemeka, his idea, to me, very perfect. So I want to ask Mr. Nnaemeka, can he prepare a paper, suggesting to Mr. President, who is incidentally the petrol minister, and seek an interview or an appointment with Mr. Tinubu and table those ideas of his to the oil minister. Because if he has that type of idea and what can bring down the price to 500, 600, Nigerians will really hail him. So maybe he can, try to see if he can seek an interview with Mr. President, with his papers, and, see Mr. Tinubu with his ideas. Very lovely perspective this morning that I've listened to. So is that possible, Mr. Nnaemeka? Thank you.
Very, very possible. In fact, let me tell you, as a matter of fact, they have that proposal on their desk. And we have also suggested that even if they want to sell those refineries to themselves, and if they are scared that it will destabilize and distort their profit, I'm talking about, in Nigeria, we have what we call stakeholders, those who purport to own Nigeria. If they assume that such arrangement would distort it, they can actually sell the refineries to themselves using SPVs, but let Nigeria breathe.
Yeah, I think it's also important to mention, that it's not, Nigeria's problems, aren't because of a lack of ideas. You could write as many articles as possible and email them, maybe even go knock on the president's door and give it to him to read. Even if I read it out to himself why he is sleeping, it's not lack of ideas. It's mostly political will. It is just not being or taking the Nigerian situation seriously enough to actually affect that change. It's not lack of ideas. Yeah. They have a lot of brilliant people around them. They have a lot of economic analysts. They have a lot of analysts in different fields. It's not lack of ideas.
Let's also look at that story again. We did talk about not being lack of an idea. Remember what happened during the Obasanjo time. I mean, it was a lot of political will for us to enjoy what we call the GSM today. We know how that also came about. If that wasn't done, I'm sure we would be backwards when it comes to internet and, of course, technology. I'm afraid we have another caller before I go to this story. I wanted us to talk about the military, why they have not gone for Asari Dokubo yet. They did a press conference and they told Asari Dokubo that the video he made during the Rivers LG elections, where he said he was going to shoot down the plane, that it was a threat, and he's going after the military, and the military just want to tell him that they have the will and the willpower, and they could actually deal with him. But why haven't they done that? That's one of the headers. But let's take this call very quickly before we'll have you react to that story. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen in the studio.
Good morning to you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Tony. I'm coming from Benue State.
Benue. All right, go ahead.
Okay. I want to comment on River State issue. So many of us are losing hope in judiciary by the things we are seeing, judgments that they are ruling day in, day night, the cases they are having. And you see, what the thing that is happening in Abuja is like Subara is holding River State and Nke is holding Federal. And this is not good.
Lost it. All right. Mr. Obiaraeri, please quickly share your thoughts on the issues between Asari Dokubo and the Nigerian military. He seemed to have threatened the army briefly.
The Asari incident also amplifies and speaks to the fact that Nigeria is a country that has double standards. It's a country, you know, when Donald Trump classified here as a shithole jungle, people cried, oh, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, what has happened? Here is a clear case of somebody threatening treason, and they're still free. Those who did not commit treason are being tried and pushed around and being done everything to make sure that they are prosecuted. Journalists that blew whistle, journalists that reported facts about things that are happening, that should be praised, are being haunted, are being held incommunicado in dungeons. Whereas a man who openly threatened the sovereignty of Nigeria is walking free. Of course, Asari is their assets. He is useful in their hands to do what they want to do. And that also speaks to the level of insecurity in Nigeria. I have said it and I repeat it again. I may not be a security expert, but I am smart and intelligent enough to know that every security situation in the whole world is indigenous. Later, Abacha said, if such kind of country will have in Nigeria festers for more than 48 hours, those in authority and power, they have and they know everything about it. They either tacitly or implicitly support it. The presence of people like Asari Dokubo, their activities, speaks to the fact that is why we have so much insecurity in Nigeria. Because the truth is, in normal crimes, Asari should be tried for that. Should be allowed. They should have arrested and prosecuted him for attempted treason or even threatening treason over the Nigerian state.
Yeah. All right. Out-of-school children, a threat to national security. If you remember, those numbers skyrocketed during the Buhari administration. We, of course, led ourselves to become the nation with the highest number of out-of-school children at some point. And, of course, nothing much really has changed with those figures. The school feeding program doesn't seem to have changed anything. The loans that have been taken from the World Bank targeting education doesn't seem to have changed anything either. So, Mr. Obiaraeri, what's your quick reaction to the Vice President saying that out-of-school children are a threat to national security?
The Vice President is 100% correct. But what did the Vice President do as governor for 8 years to tackle out-of-school issue in his own state, which is Borno, which is also one of the states with the highest number of out-of-school students? As at 2015, number of out-of-school students, kids that we have in Nigeria was 10 million. Today, by UNESCO record, is over 20 million. They are not just a threat to Nigeria. The level of illiteracy, the level of literacy in Nigeria is so poor. I take you back to history, Asari again. China, Singapore, South Korea, Indonesia were far below Nigeria in 1966. Singapore, as at that time, had literacy level of about 57%. China was about 60%. Today, literacy level in China is 98%. Singapore is almost about 98, 99%. Indonesia, similar thing. South Korea, the same thing. Go and check the 10 top 20 economies in the whole world. Something speaks to the fact that they have literacy level. In fact, one of the things that took China out of poverty, one of the things that made China to be able to roll out 769 people million people out of poverty in a space of 25 years was because they pursued robust basic education and they shipped a lot of their people to the West to go and acquire technology, knowledge, and they got back home. China is what they are today because of their deliberate policy to grow literacy in their country. And this also forced the level of the state governors and local government chairmen, because there's always a tendency for us to point at the federal government. Basic education should be compulsory. In fact, there should be a law. Any child, any man or woman that gives birth to a child that is not in school should go to jail. And it must be, the state must also make a law that it must be enshrined in the Constitution that 25% of our revenues must be invested in education. That is the only way we can tackle this menace. And it's also the fact that, look at Anambra State. Anambra State has the lowest poverty index in Nigeria. Anambra State has the lowest out-of-school kids in Nigeria, 30,000. Why is this so? It took very robust policy of the governor of the state then, working with the missions. In a space of 8 years, the man took his state away from number 26 to number 1. I'm talking about P2P. And the legacy still stands. LX is doing similar thing in Anambra State. You saw the WAEC result, NECO result. You saw what in a space of 1 year, see what Alex has done. Alex deliberately allocated 42% of the state budget to education and to health. It's not enough to mount, we have so much. See, let me tell you, if we don't fundamentally and consciously tackle this issue, by 2027, the number will grow to about 25 million, because we are not systematically, we are not consciously pursuing the eradication of this out of school, the number of reducing this number. The only way we can do it, and the media you have a role to play, is to put it on the front burner. The relevant position, place in the provision of the Constitution should be amended to insert 25% provision for education minimum and 20% for health minimum. That is the only way we can fix this. Anything outside fixing the education sector, fixing the health sector, is just wasting our time. The only thing that can liberate this land is growing real literacy. I'm not talking about certificated illiteracy. I'm talking about literate people who have the capacity to be able to interrogate facts. If we have the number of literate people that we have in South Korea, we won't have the kind of mass of political bandits that we have across the 3 tiers of government in Nigeria.
All right. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, I think we're out of time for this conversation. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. If you still will write your letter to the president, please do. Hopefully he reads it and he takes some of your expert advice. But like I've said, it's not lack of ideas that is the problem. Thanks for joining us. We wish you a great weekend ahead. See you next week, hopefully.
Thank you for having me, my brother.